Hey, what's up? This is Charles Onyet with IGN. I'm here with Anthony Gallegos.
Hello.
And we're checking out the Mists of Pandaria beta for World of Warcraft. This is the 4th expansion to World of Warcraft. It's not out yet. There's no release date, but it just entered beta. And we're checking out the starting content, what it's like to play as a monk, and what it's like to check out the new Pandaren race. So this is my Pandaren that I've leveled up to 10 here. He is a monk. But I can show off the character creation real fast. You'll notice that the Pandaren race isn't actually aligned to Horde or Alliance here. It's neutral to begin with. So for the starting experience, you are not in a faction-specific scenario. You are just kind of minding your own business over on the Pandaria starting area, and then eventually you get roped into the affairs of the rest of Azeroth, which of course half of Azeroth wants to kill the other half. And you sort of pick which side you want to be on at that point. So you have female and male character models here, and a little bit of customization possible. If you don't want to play a monk, if you're trying to go Pandaren and you don't want to play a monk, you can play a whole bunch of other classes. In case you don't know much about World of Warcraft and just saw the sort of Kung Fu Panda angle that's been repeated over and over again as people have seen this expansion, you know, it's not like if you play a Pandaren, you can only be a monk. Many other races can also be monks. So here you see Tauren. Undead monks is possible. Orc, Blood Elf. Unfortunately, no Goblin monks. Not allowed. That is strictly forbidden by rules that make sense to everyone.
I mean, you can be different classes, but I'm sure when this finally releases, the most common you'll see are monks because it is the new class that is coming out with the expansion.
Yep.
So what are their passives?
We can look at that in a second. I can just go through the. I mean, the customization options seem a little bit limited now. Again, beta, so maybe these will be expanded later. You can just sort of change the eye patterns, and it looks like
make them look like
the
various
fur color.
members of KISS.
Yeah. Yes. I guess so. Oh, there we go. Makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, it does. You get to actually see different hairstyles on him.
Yeah. Who's carrying that book, though?
A big old foxtail on that one.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's better than this guy's tail.
The males have a very traditional male bear tail. It's very stubby.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a look at the character creation. I'm going to go into Carter's game here, which I called.
It's a beta. We pick names that, without thinking too much.
I called a previous character Tipsy, which was a much better Pandaren monk name, because at least in Blizzard lore, in Warcraft lore, the Pandaren Brewmaster is something that's come up before in the Warcraft series.
He's basically created as a version of like the traditional sort of story you hear about Chinese drunken Shaolin masters. You know, even Jackie Chan did a movie about a drunken master, which is pretty much exactly what the Pandaren monk is supposed to be like.
You can see Mists of Pandaria looks really good. I mean, obviously the game is old, but Blizzard has been making quite a few under-the-hood adjustments to ensure the game stays somewhat stylish, and has always been about style over everything else to keep the game looking appealing, which is certainly still the case here. I actually had to turn the water settings down because the water was disappearing on higher settings in the beta. But yeah, here you can see some monk combat. So there are actually 2 resource systems for the monk. Right now I am using mana, as well as this key bar here, but you can switch between the two with these stances. So now I have energy, and energy just replenishes as I consume it. But you basically consume energy to create key points, and then the key points are then used for another set of special attacks. So you have this kind of back and forth between resources, a give and take. Let's see if I can get this guy. So my basic attack here is Clobber, and every time I connect with that, it's going to build a key point, as you can see here, and then I can use my key points to trigger other abilities like Tiger Palm, which actually does more damage to targets that are over 50% health. So it's something I want to open a fight with. So I have 2 points sitting here, so I should be able to... Oh, no, Tiger Palm's only 1 key point, so I can use that whenever. So I'm going to go over to this Tiger.
Yeah, it seems like the monk has moves that, that are very clearly meant to be used at specific times during the course of a fight.
Yeah, and unfortunately I can't show off the spinning crane kick. It's a pretty cool move. It's sort of like Ken from Street Fighter, his hurricane kick, and the monk will actually spin around in a circle or in place, swinging his leg around, and you can move him around while he's in that stance. It lasts for actually quite a while, and you do a lot of area effect damage with that, but it actually does not work right now. So I'm going to move that over there. And then the last sort of part of the basic combo for the early monk is, so you have Clobber to build ki, Tiger Palm early in a fight to do more damage, and then you have Blackout Kick to end a fight. So I'm going to see if I can do that properly here. The mechanic with Blackout Kick, oh, I missed. Damn it. The mechanic with Blackout Kick is if I kill with it, it actually refunds a key point up here, so that I have a little bit left to go directly into another fight. So it seems to encourage you to kind of chain targets together.
Exactly. You could run in...
If you're skillful enough to land that Blackout Kick, then you can just go between targets and kill them pretty quickly, it
right,
seems
you could
like.
run in Tiger Palm to open when they're still above 50%, get them down, do the Blackout Kick to finish them, switch to the next guy, Tiger Palm, because it refunded a point. So. Yeah,
and you Tiger Palm, then Clobber a couple times to build up for the Blackout Kick, which is 2 key. And yeah, you just go on like that. I also have Quaking Palm, which strikes the target and incapacitates them for 4 seconds. So I guess that's good in case I'm fighting a group, like is standing over here.
And it should be known that that's actually a racial ability as well, that one.
The Quaking Palm?
Yeah.
And what else do I have here? I have Roll. So this is strictly for movement. I don't believe that animation is final. I think you actually do roll across the ground. Again, beta test. But yeah, this just consumes energy and lets you move across the ground, no cooldown or anything like that. And it's nice for early game because it does get you around a little bit faster and can help you get between targets faster too, so that if you really don't want any downtime between your fighting, then you can use that to move between, in this case, tigers. I can also switch stances. This brings mana up, and I do have an extra heal ability here called Ki Wave, which will bounce back and forth. You notice it actually did damage, although it didn't seem to heal me. But it will bounce back and forth and heal friend and foe. So it is pretty useful. Now that's only available because of the reworked system of talents and these specializations for each class. So each class has 3 specializations. I picked Mistweaver, which is the monk's healer build, which unlocks unique talents. If you pick this one, you could go Windwalker, which is more about dealing damage, or you could go Brewmaster, which is more about tanking. You can switch those at a class trainer, so this isn't like a super permanent decision or something like that. You can swap between these pretty easily. Of note, perhaps more so, is the talent system, which has been completely overhauled. This is totally different from what you've seen in World of Warcraft. Blizzard just basically looked at the old talent system, which were very large, complex trees, 3 of them, that you could sort of assign points into that you earned as you leveled up, and just thought that I guess just didn't work anymore. They weren't happy with how players were using it, because most players were just going to websites and essentially just copying down what the quote-unquote best builds were.
I mean, it was intimidating enough that most people that I knew, including myself, I would do that just because it was hard to know. There'd be a lot of regret there, because I wouldn't know if I was putting points into abilities that weren't going to maximize my effectiveness. And sometimes I would put points into abilities that I didn't even necessarily fully understand what I was getting out of it.
And yeah, so they've kind of reorganized this system in this way, which is basically every 15 levels you pick one of these. So you have 3 talents that unlock every 15 levels, and you select one of them. So in this case, the first tier at 15, which obviously I can't access yet since I'm 10, every talent here affects the roll skill. So intuition makes it cost no energy for a little bit. There's a cooldown associated with that. This one lets me roll a little bit further and a little bit faster, and then this one actually stacks my movement speed buffs every time I use a roll up to 3 times. So it's not like I'll be going at some crazy speed across the landscape, but it could be useful. And I mean, it remains to be seen the long-term implications of that, especially once you unlock more powerful things further down toward level 90, which is the new cap. So what I'm doing right now, this is just the starting experience for the Pandaren race. It's just basically a 1 to 10 zone. I'm right towards the end of it, so I believe at some point soon I will be making my choice about whether I want to go Alliance or whether I want to go Horde. In terms of the quest structures on Pandaria in the starting zone, not all that crazy. They're pretty familiar if you played World of Warcraft before. You know, they don't really stand out or do something anything crazily different. There are some decent quests, but a lot of them are just kill collect quests and stuff like that.
One thing though that they do show that I noticed.
Oops, oh that didn't work. Keep going.
One thing that I do know that I noticed was that the quests show the whole way that they're handling multiple people being in the zone to do something at the same time. I can't think of what the actual terminology for that is, but instead of, like, you know, when you played as the goblins, you would drastically alter the environment around you, so they would put you in basically small instances where you and the other players were kind of separated from one another. Now it doesn't matter if you and other players are on separate phases of the same quest, you'll still be in the same environment together. You'll see NPCs that they won't, so you'll perceive the environments.
And we're back. Sorry about that. It's beta, so it does disconnect from time to time.
One thing that I did notice, though, in my brief time with the introduction to the beta is that, just like we recently talked about on IGN, is that the goal for Blizzard with the early quests was they really wanted to do away with a lot of the phasing that they really heavily put in some of, like, the Cataclysm early stuff, like Goblins especially. Their intro quests had you and friends, if you were on separate parts of the quest, you wouldn't be able to see each other because you'd be in separate little instances. Whereas this one, even though me and like tens and hundreds of other pandas were all doing the same quests, we may be on different phases, and we may be even seeing different things in the environment, but we were all together in the same in the same room. It's just that we perceived them differently. There was no actual instancing. So I still felt like I was in a world with other players all the time, as opposed to being like in this separate little story for a while.
Yeah, and that I think Blizzard wants to do that across all of Pandaria. I mean, they did that heavily in the Cataclysm makeover of the main continents, where yeah, it would be linear storylines, and eventually you would you know, be in different areas of the world. They would essentially fragment the player base to put you in, you know, a later version of a storyline that maybe changed the environment, the appearance of it. So they want to move away from that, which is interesting considering the competition, like, I mean, the Old Republic, which is all about linear storylines, and, you know, meanwhile Blizzard's sort of saying, yeah, we did that already. We're just going to go back to the whole social thing. So I mean, we haven't seen a lot of the higher level quests and things like that. It sounds like there's going to be a lot to do at higher levels. This is just, again, the starting zone. And I can show, oh man, this tiger is very persistent.
You are slowly single-handedly wiping out the tiger population of your land.
All right, let me dispatch this guy real quick. Do a kick, and great success. If I go to my map here, I mean, you can see this is the starting area. Your main goal throughout here, until you find this airship over here, which is kind of the late goal. The main goal through the early part is to recruit spirits to this Temple of Five Dawns. It sort of gives this area really kind of laid back, almost goofy, I guess, kind of tone, just because at some point you're fighting giant rats and retrieving huge vegetables, and also you are on the back of a huge turtle. Which is a little strange, but that's just how it goes. Then the rest of Pandaria, after you finish the starting experience, you go back to the regular content in World of Warcraft. You go through, you know, the 1 to 60, then you go to Outland, then you go to Northrend, and then you come back. And eventually, once you hit 85, you're back in Pandaria, and you go through all this content. You go through these 7 zones from 85 to 90. And there'll be new dungeons all throughout here, new raids, and you know, of course, lots of things to do. But yeah, basically, this is an expansion more for the, I guess, more for the advanced players, since Cataclysm seemed to be the expansion that was all about drawing in new people because they reworked all of that old content. Although still not the Burning Crusade content. That's still old. And they said they do want to rework. Blizzard said the Burning Crusade content, just because they agree it feels old.
Yeah, that's the hurdle to get through if you're going to level up a new panda for sure.
Yeah, it's just eventually, you know, you gotta run through there. Here you can see just some more detail in the visuals. Looks really, really nice. I think Blizzard's done a great job with making this game still look visually apparent.
I mean, they're still using the same graphics engine, but the art and everything that they've done with the Pandaren really actually do capture the sort of Asian vibe that they're going for.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the walls, the high temples and everything like that, and just a lot of detail all throughout. It'll be really cool to see what some of the higher level dungeons look like, and some of the higher level zones, which they've shown off at preview events and things like that, but I'm not sure if they're quite live in the beta yet. But yeah, even the clouds you see drifting in between the hills over there. Obviously, everyone's seen these rock structures before, but the way they're presented looks a little bit different this time around. So the Pandaren do get some racial bonuses as well, some passives. Inner Peace, your rested experience bonus, lasts twice as long as normal. I think that is of particular note just because, you know, you're going to level faster, basically. So it just encourages you to get through the old content so you can eventually come back to Pandaria to see the 85 through 90 stuff. There's also a cooking bonus, which is over here. You actually get double the stats from well-fed effects. So
and some of the later food recipes are so nice that that'll be really, really great.
You take half falling damage, which I guess is nice. And then there's another, yeah, you actually get a cooking skill bonus as well, which is pretty cool. Blizzard is, there is no new profession in the Mists of Pandaria expansion, but they are making changes to the old ones, including cooking. There will be a more sophisticated cooking system in Mists of Pandaria, so if you're all into cooking, you should see some upgrades there. I should mention that this this talent system, specialization system, applies across everything in World of Warcraft after Mists of Pandaria. It's not just a monk thing. This is for every class.
Yes. I will have to redo all my warriors' talents.
Yep. If you've been playing a paladin or a warlock, the warlock in particular, Blizzard has said is going to receive a lot of changes going into Mists of Pandaria. But yeah, you will basically have a whole new skill set. I mean, obviously there'll be a lot of returning skills, but it probably will not be very familiar to you once you see what the changes are like. Let me see if I can. What is going on with this guy? There we go.
He's a crazy little wood sprite. What do you want from him?
And again, yeah, this is just the starting experience, so we'll be playing more of the World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria beta and showing off more parts of the game as they become available. One interesting thing is that the fact that the beta is out right now, I mean, Blizzard hasn't announced a release date for Mists of Pandaria yet, but the fact that the beta is running now seems to indicate that a 2012 release date for Mists of Pandaria is really pretty realistic at this point, I would say.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did the beta for a few months and then we got some sort of fall release time around Christmas.
You think even fall? Yeah,
maybe even earlier. Who knows? Maybe they, for all we know, they're timing it to release it right alongside one of their competitors' releases.
Are you talking about Guild Wars?
I am talking about Guild Wars.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we still don't know when. I mean, we don't know when Guild Wars is coming out either. But yeah, it could turn out to be kind of a heavyweight holiday season if Mists of Pandaria does wind up making it out this year. And just for context, Cataclysm, the previous expansion pack, went into beta, I think, mid-summer. I believe it was the end of June in 2010. And then that game wound up coming out in December of 2010. Early December, I believe. But yeah, so this beta is actually out earlier in the year than that was. So, I mean, there are a lot of factors that could make that meaningless in terms of overall workload and, you know, how fast Blizzard has been working on this in the meantime. But yeah, it seems like a holiday release this year would be very likely.
I agree.
But yeah, we'll have a lot more coverage of the Mists of Pandaria beta on IGN, so you can check back with IGN.com or head over to IGN's YouTube page.